We return. Will the full truth ever be known about the Atlanta murders? The conventional belief, even today, is that Wayne Williams is the Atlanta child killer. But it may not be that simple.
We still don't know where, when, how, or why these victims died.
There should be no conclusion except that there was only one person that could have and did murder these victims. And he had been convicted. It's been upheld by the highest court in this state, and we now need to let it rest.
One man does not wish to let it rest. In 1983, Justice George Smith was the only member of the Georgia Supreme Court who voted to give Wayne Williams a new trial.
There just simply was not a common thread that ran through all 10 of these cases compared to the two. One of the first things is, these were both adults. So they were using the children to prejudice the jury against the defendant because the two that he was being tried for were adults.
We've got witnesses who've been discredited, witnesses who've recanted. We've got possible Ku Klux Klan involvement that was never known to the defense during Wayne Williams' trial. And we've got stronger suspects that were involved with some of these victims, suspects who are known child molesters.
So you have to ask yourself, or I had to ask myself, how does a Wayne Williams get 27 people together basically in isolated instances, manage to overcome all of them without obvious sign of any physical trauma having been inflicted?
So it wasn't just fiber. You had fiber, you had the bridge, and this host of other little pieces of evidence, all of which I think the jury obviously felt showed guilt beyond a reasonable doubt.
I think the court did prove it to the satisfaction of 12 people, and that's what was required.
It may very well be that Wayne Williams killed some number or all of these children, or none of them. We're never going to know that.
I sincerely believe that the killers of those victims, the adults and the children, are still loose.
I don't believe he did it no more than I would go out there and shoot somebody myself.
I have never believed Wayne Williams killed not only Yusuf. I don't believe Wayne Williams killed anybody. I think Wayne Williams is merely one of the last victims of the Atlanta murders.
And I'm not saying anything I didn't say when I wrote my opinion. I would have given him a new trial then. I give him a new trial now.
Well, I think all of those involved, from the mayor of Atlanta through the public safety commissioner, they owe Atlantans, they owe these families, and they owe Wayne Williams some answers to questions that have never fully been resolved.
Wayne Williams has been in prison since his arrest in June of 1981, when he was 23 years old.
At this point, what has to happen is the Georgia courts, or some court, has to have the courage and the guts to stand up and say, look, we made a mistake. There is no pattern, as the prosecution alleged in this case. Nobody saw Wayne Williams kill or hurt anybody.
Is Wayne Williams an innocent victim of injustice? Or is he a killer? At least one man, Wayne Williams, knows for sure.
Brothers and sisters, thank you for listening to The Search Effort. That was a documentary on Wayne Williams. You are listening to the Sister Speak Show. I am your host, Ayanna, and we will be back, my brothers and sisters, after this commercial break, okay?
The host of the Sister Speak Show. I want you to listen live and on demand all this week to the Sister Speak Show, starting with Coming to the Stage this Tuesday with Poetic Lee as my special guest. Then I want you to listen to The Search Effort on Wednesday. Thursday, The Culture Climate. Friday, The Tour with Mont from SDYP The Movement. Then I want you to listen to The Laugh Line on Saturday. And let's finish it out on Sunday with The Platform on the Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. Hey Aviated Visuals is a dope artist on the move, starting the year off right January 27th with his first solo art show, and he wants you to be in the building, along with special guest creatives Flywalker, Kiana, 100K, and the Sister Speak Show. Doors open at 7:30 at 1409 South Lamar Street in Dallas. Tickets are just $15 at Right Art Twin Experience BigCartel.com. Aviated Visuals, a dope artist on the move. Brothers and sisters, we want you to listen live and on demand to the Sister Speak Show. There are 6 segments dedicated to serving you, my brothers and sisters. We have the platform, coming to the stage, the culture climate, the laugh line, the tour, and the search effort. Oh, the Sister Speak Show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. A talk show for great minds that create, inspire, and evolve.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back to the Sister Speak Show. Welcome back to the Search Effort. You are listening live to the Search Effort. Tonight's topic, the Black Youth Killer, the Wayne Williams story, the Atlanta child murders from 1979 to 1981. That documentary was heavy, wasn't it, my brothers and sisters? I mean, what do you think? Do you think Wayne Williams was solely responsible for all of those murders? Do you think that it was the KKK? Do you think it was a copycat killer? I mean, what does your sleuth side say? You know, I mean, chat live with me. Let me know what do you think about that? I know one thing, that was a hot and heavy time back then. And I'm not talking about hot and heavy like hot and heavy. I'm talking about the pressure was thick. It was crazy, you know, like one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of times to lure youth off of the streets, to catch them off guard, sometimes predators use baits, such as pretending like they're a rap producer, or they can get them to be a top model. We have to educate our children on how to look for the perverted signs of predators and the things that are the baits that are used to get them or to attempt to get them to bite to bite the bait. Like, we have to be able to educate our youth, and we have to be able to speak to former predators and former, those who have been genuinely rehabilitated, so they could give the game on what are some of the signs and tactics that are used to lure our brothers and sisters into death's grip. One thing I know for sure is that the mall is a hot spot for activity. And a lot of predators prey at the mall. Trust me, a lot. Pedophiles especially. They hang out at the mall. Why? Well, that's a place where you're going to see parents and children. A lot of times at malls, you have what is known as the circle in the middle of the mall where you have playland. And you never know who's watching your child. Where I live in Cedar Hill, which is just right on the outskirts of Dallas, there is a place called Uptown. And in Uptown, in the summertime, they have this like water park, water splash, where, they let all the water hoses out loose, and you can bring your child to run through the water in 103-degree weather. And little girls and little boys and, premium age, primary age boys and girls, they come and they're in their sweats and they're in their swimming suits, and little girls are wearing bikinis, and there are spectators, and some of the spectators that are there are up to no good. And I've never understood why parents allow their daughters to wear bikinis, right? Because you make them put on clothes over their underwear and potentially their bra, eventually their bra, but you let them run amok naked in bikinis. And I call it naked because that's just what it is. My niece got mad at us when we went on a trip, and my husband was like, "You got to cover up." And I was like, you got to cover up because you don't know who's watching you. You just don't know. So when it comes to the Atlanta child murders, who was watching these children? Who was watching them? Who was behind the Atlanta child murders? Have you figured it out? Do you think it was Wayne Williams? Do you think he was responsible for a couple? And then there was a like I said, when that spirit is running loose, my brothers and sisters, when it's running loose, it's almost like tag you're it. It's almost like being in a room and let's just say somebody's, has bad vibes on it. And next thing you know, somebody else catches the bad vibes and the whole room is just messed up with bad vibes. Like the spirits, like it moves. So when it comes to the Atlanta child murders, there were 28 youth, 28 adults who were murdered and they were having a hard time figuring out. And a lot of people feel like Wayne Williams was scapegoated. A lot of people feel like they did not find the real killer, but the real killer, in fact, did die in prison, and he died of AIDS. And then some people feel like it was the KKK. The effects of the Atlanta child murders is this, that heavy drug use, depression, anxiety, definitely lack of, not being able to trust, over protectiveness, it was chilling. The movie that was made about the Atlanta child murders was very frightening. And like I said, I'm getting chills right now. It's a shame, but I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it. That movie had me spooked. And in 2018, 2017, 2016, and the previous years, there have been youth that have been killed, and the cases have gone cold. The cases are cold. Who done it? And the beautiful thing about a cold case is this, hear me, that when you hire a breath of fresh air to come on the force, a lot of times they like to reopen cold cases. Let's take a look at this. Let's match some things up. Let's compare some DNA evidence. We've got some new technology. Let's figure some things out. And guess what? Cold cases get solved. Even cases 20 years later get solved. Killers are caught. A lot of times you can find a killer somewhere on the other side of the country. Sometimes you can find them in a whole other state, completely change their identity. Wayne Williams' case, I know in 2005, that I think 5 of them were reopened for questioning. Because he couldn't have done them all, right? He couldn't have. And looking at the physical stature, of some of the victims, they could have really whooped him. I mean, seriously, beat him down. One thing we know about a kidnapping victim or someone who is at the hands of a predator is adrenaline does kick in. And a lot of times, those who have murdered someone, they have what's called physical evidence left on them. Hear me on this. I was watching the other day a program and a woman had gone missing. She had gone to a casino, parked her car, stayed at the casino for a while, and she decided to socialize with somebody who she seemed to be familiar with according to the surveillance cameras. And she contacted her boyfriend, let him know that she was on this quote unquote winning streak, and then she went back to associating with this suspect, this man who, normally you'd be like, what are you two even doing associating with each other? But he attempted to put his arm around her several times and she brushed it off. And they were seen leaving the casino. And her boyfriend was looking for her and her car was still at the casino, but there was no trace of her. Now, fast forward, the police do the search and they go through the surveillance cameras and they are able to locate who the suspect or the suspicious man was who was last seen with this woman. They go to his house and, they talked to him and everything, and they noticed that he had some scratches on his face. And they're like, well, what's up with the scratches? And he's like, oh, I was working on some trees and, working on the yard, and some tree branches fell and, hit me up, and that's what happened. Suspicious answer. And so after that, they go on a while, and, they run a research on this man, and they find out he had been convicted of kidnapping and aggravated assault and so on and so forth. So they go and they survey the scene, and they see that his car was seen leaving the parking lot. So they were able to, of course, zoom in, and they could not see her. Excuse me. So they were wondering, well, where is she? Is she in the back? Is she in the trunk? What's going on? What's going on? And so when they go and they decide to examine the car, they see it's been wiped very clean, so on and so forth. But they found some blood and some hair that was on the outside of the door handle. And the hair was a match. The blood was a match. In fact, the woman had been inside of the car. So there was a struggle that ensued, and she fought like crazy, and she left scratches all on his face. So I was wondering, I was like, well, wait a minute. Okay, so now they've solved the mystery. He, in fact, did kill her. But why did she leave with him? Why? Why did she leave with this man? So I began to say, well, shoot, let me see what's going on, because something is off. Something is not right. So I began to think, she's a gambler at a casino, had a certain amount of money to gamble with, lost it, had already, kind of befriended this, I don't want to call him a sugar daddy because there's nothing sweet about him. I just call him a salty daddy, ran into this salty daddy. And, hey, she said, look, I need some money. But he wasn't cashing out for free. You have to give it up. This is just me and my sleuthness. And so she left with him in the attempts to, exchange for some change. But something went wrong. See, it's nothing like being in a predicament where you have to, you feel like you have to give up some bodily services for some money, right? And so I believe that's what happened. But they didn't want to touch on that. They didn't want to mention that. That's just a side note. So being lured, leaving physical evidence, fighting back your attacker, I just wonder, like, these last minutes, like, what is it like? Having to fight off somebody. Or being overpowered and not being able to fight back at all. A 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, a 75-year-old. Not being able to fight back. So who killed the Atlanta youth from 1979 to 1981? Was it Wayne Williams? Was it the KKK? Was it a mixture of sick individuals, wicked individuals that decided to capitalize on the moment? Kind of throw themselves in the mix, copycat killers. Who did it, brothers and sisters? What's your opinion? I'd love for you to chat with us live on the Sister Speak show. I'd love for you to, email me. Tell me your opinions on this particular case, because it's nothing like being found guilty when you're innocent. And we do know that the justice system is notorious for capitalizing on the innocence of man and throwing innocent people behind bars. Why? Because it's modern day slavery. It's period. It's a chain gang. It doesn't matter if you're guilty or not. You are a part of the capitalism that takes place. Did you know that Levi's is made in prison? Honda parts are made in prison. They're only receiving 13 cents an hour, making $2.50 a day. Right? And also pay attention to the logo on Levi's. Now look, I'm just saying. Here we go. Ayanna, hold it. Brothers and sisters, there are people who are innocently put in jail and later to be exonerated, later to be released because the new DNA evidence points out that they in fact were not the killer. Now 25 years, 30 years, 45 years, and sometimes never are they released. Sometimes they're found innocent and it's just too late because they died in prison at the hands of a corrupt system. Goodness. How do you get that back? There's still hope for those who have experienced that. The Lord is able to restore your years. So when it comes to the Atlanta child murders, in conclusion with this show this evening, my brothers and sisters, you were able to hear about a time where our people, our community, past community, our brothers and sisters, were panicking, were in an uproar, were afraid, were pointing the finger, were trying to solve, and where some people were picked up and examined because they fit the profile of the Atlanta killer. There are more serial killers than just this potential brother, or maybe he did two of them. Maybe he did. Who knows? Wayne knows. The killer knows. See, that's the beautiful thing about being omnipotent, is that nothing, hear me today, there is nothing that you or I can do that is not written down, that is not observed, that is not notated, that we will have to give an account for. We will. Okay? And don't ever think that just because somebody has not received what you believe to be a punishment here on earth, that they will not enter into a punishment. We all cannot escape the eyes of the Lord. Not one of us. The eyes of the Lord is more powerful, 10,000 times more powerful than the sun, brighter than. Do you understand what that means? It's all documented. So my encouragement to you, those of you who are living through a cold case, those of you who have a loved one who has gone missing, those of you who are 40 years later living with the pain and grief because you are the family member of those who were murdered in Atlanta from 1979 to 1981. I would like to extend my deepest words of encouragement to you today in closing. I know what it is to love someone and to have them not be here anymore. Although I do not know what it is to experience directly murder, I have experienced directly the effects of murder. How so? I've seen you cry. I've seen you speak out in rage. I've seen your GoFundMe pages. I've seen you put together money to put up a billboard for a reward. I've seen you in silence, staring off in space. I've heard you tell me directly there's nothing like losing a child. I've seen the funerals. I've seen the memorials throughout the streets. I've seen the RIPs. I've seen the mothers and the fathers create organizations to comfort one another. My deepest encouragements to you this evening. I want to encourage you to press through. I want you to live. I don't want you to allow your life to also be murdered. I don't want you to sabotage the years that you have also been given. I know it hurts. I know it cuts like a knife. I know that certain smells and thoughts and sounds, songs, I know that they bring up this pain, these memories. I know some of you have never changed the room that they were, the way the room was the last time they left. I know that you can replay over and over again their voice in your heads. I just want to encourage you today and say, you have to press your way through. You have to. You've got to live. Don't let that murderous spirit take you out. It's time to stop living in the shadows of the pain. It is time to heal. It is time to live while letting go. It is time to loosen the grip. See, the good news is this. God is a wonderful counselor. He specializes in loving you, in healing you, fixing your heart, regulating your mind, setting that which was crooked straight. Miracles, talking to you in the midnight hour, allowing people to come along your journey and say something that is going to help with the healing process. His desire is for you to grow from it, to rise from it, to help others who are in it and getting ready to go through it. See, your trial, your tribulation, your test is for others. You are a walking survival guide. You are a walking testimony. You are a living testimony. You are designed and created to survive even the toughest of challenges. Yes, even the death of a loved one. I know what it is. I know what it is. But I want to encourage you. I pray that your trust in leaving the house is restored. I pray that your desire to eat is restored. I pray that your loss of appetite for living and breathing is restored, and that your stomach may growl in the spirit for a thirst and hunger, because sometimes when your stomach growls, it means you're thirsty. That you will have a desire and an appetite to live. I know 1979 to 1981 was very hard. I know the pain. I know the pain. And I just want to encourage all of you, whether it was this incident that we covered this evening, or whether it is that you just received a phone call that is going to alter your life forever. I know what it is to have to view a body. I know what it is to have to, get the clothes together. To have to, go down to the funeral home, to arrange a wake, to set up a funeral, to purchase a casket, to travel 12 hours from one state to another state. I know what it is to have to wake up in the middle of the night crying because it hurts so bad. because someone who you love is no longer there. So I want to encourage you. I mourn with you. But the Bible does say that there is a time and a season for everything, a time to rejoice. Okay? And a time to cry. A time to laugh, a time to cry. A time to rejoice and a time to mourn. A time to embrace and a time to refrain. A time for things to grow up and a time for things to be cut down. To everything, there is a reason for the season. And we're not in control. But He is able to comfort us. So I just want to encourage you all this evening to work through the pain. If you would like to be a guest on the Sister Speak show, if you would like to be a guest on the search effort, we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear your survival stories. If you are missing a loved one, we would love for you to be a special guest on the Sister Speak show. We would love for you to come on here and tell us everything that we need to know so we can help look for your loved one. There's a cold case that has gone too cold for you. If you're not getting the proper help that you need, and that this is a case that is conducive to what we're trying to do on the show, we'd love to help you. If you would, if you have anything that you need that is related to this show, please, talk to me. I'm interested in interviewing coroners, homicide detectives, homicide investigators, everybody who's involved in this aspect of the search effort, those who have, brought together, who've created search efforts, search parties, all of that, those who put together the blackandmissing.org, all of that. That's what this is here for. Brothers and sisters, also this. Go to blackandmissing.org. Look and see if you recognize anybody on there who has gone missing. If you have, please, just keep your eyes open. If you see somebody who has gone missing and you know of someone in your circle who lives in that area, alert them to the fact that this person has gone missing. Now, some cases are older than others. Some are fresh. It doesn't matter. Open your eyes, and let's help bring our loved ones back home as we focus on those who have gone missing, local, national, and international attention on those who have gone missing in our communities, cold cases in our communities, as well as special guest interviews in our communities. Brothers and sisters, you've been listening live to the search effort. You've been listening live to the search effort. I am Ayanna, the host of the search effort, as well as the host of the Sister Speak show. I thank you for your attention. Don't forget that this is a talk show that will keep your mind and your soul informed and energized and encouraged. We are a cultural renaissance platform that influences a climate that is conducive to who you are and who you should be. No reckless entertainment, just responsible listening nourishment. We don't go dumb, we go wisdom. Don't forget that we have the platform coming to the stage, the search effort, the culture climate, the laugh line, as well as the tour. We are Sunday through Sunday live and on demand, recording out of Dallas County, Texas. Shout out to all of you who are listening internationally, nationally, and locally. Don't forget we have special guests, live performances, in-studio interviews, as well as live on-location reports. And also, brothers and sisters, I also want to leave you with this last commercial break. If you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we want to see you in the building January 27th for this event.
Aviated Visuals is a dope artist on the move, starting the year off right January 27th with his first solo art show, and he wants you to be in the building, along with special guest creators Flywalker, Kiana, 100K, and the Sister Speak show. Doors open at 7:30 at 1409 South Lamar Street in Dallas. Tickets are just $15 at White Art Twin Experience BigCartel.com. Aviated Visuals, a dope artist on the move.
All right, brothers and sisters, we're back to the search effort. This is Ayanna. We're getting ready to close out. Don't forget that you are listening to the Sister Speak Show, a 6-segment podcast dedicated to serve you, brothers and sisters. And I hope you enjoyed listening. I thank you all for all the plays, all the support, all the special guests who come on here, you know, all of the people who support the special guests. Thank you. Let's continue to take the Sister Speak Show to another level. You know, I am expecting great things for the Sister Speak Show. And until we speak tomorrow will be the Culture Climate at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time as we focus on relationships, sexual abuse, sexual behaviors, sexually transmitted diseases, as well as sexually transmitted deceptions. Friday, Mont Music on the tour live. Mont with SDYP. The movement will be my special guest on the tour. I'm excited about that. And then I will be that night going to the Hear Ye podcast event, Bones and Bubbly. I'm so excited about this event, brothers and sisters. If you're in the local DFW area, I know that she still has some tickets. They have some tickets left, We want to see you in the building in Irving, Texas. Bones and Bubbly. This is going to be a night where you get to, you know, interact with Dallas podcasts and just vibe out. Support these sisters. They're doing big things, getting a lot of recognition while they venture into, you know, really serving the Dallas community with their podcast. It's called the Hear Ye Podcast. Check them out. Also check out Poetically Correct, dope podcast. Also check out Slick Radio, dope podcast. Also check out the Sister Speak Show, dope podcast. And also January 27th, I'll be going live. I'm going live this Friday, also at the event, and I'm also going live on the 27th, so check me out. Brothers and sisters, until we meet tomorrow, welcome. Stay warm, cuddle up, drive carefully, and yeah, that's about it, brothers and sisters. I was going to say something else, but I'll leave that till next time. You all have a wonderful evening. Good night.